Hello there, this is Deborah Pratt Johnson Burns. I am the founder and CEO of Literacy to Legacy Mentors, Reframing Your Financial Future, a personal finance, education, and mentoring company. This evening is part of my financial freedom education and entrepreneur spotlight series called Passions to Profits: How to Create and Build Recurring Passive Revenue Income Streams. So what I'd like to start with is that each of us has a talent that is marketable and bankable. And the most important thing is to ask yourself honestly, is my talent something that I think that I could use and leverage as a side hustle? Meaning I could work my full-time job, whether I'm a salaried employee or an entrepreneur, and I could do this on the side for, let's say, 10 to 20 hours a week. So I think it's an honest assessment and a candid and humble assessment of, am I really able to be disciplined enough to actually do this? So that's the first thing. The second thing is, if the answer is yes, which we hope it is, then you'd have to decide, okay, these are my talents. These are what people are saying about my talents, and I really think I can take this to market. So the most important thing there is what you think and what your potential customer thinks are two different things. So most importantly, talk to your potential customers. Is this something do you think you would purchase? Is this something you think you would purchase on a regular basis? Is this something you would be interested in telling your friends about? Is this something you would help me promote on social media or in in-person events, etc.? So if the answer to that is yes, then we move to the third piece, and that is, let's identify what that talent is, how marketable it is, what your competition is, and how you can actually take it on the road and to the market. So for instance, when I was 16, I started a harvest breads company called Deborah's Harvest Breads. What that means is these are dessert breads like zucchini bread, carrot cake, etc., that were beautifully packaged, beautifully branded, and sold for a reasonable price based on what the market could bear. And I ended up selling them as part of my high school store. They opened up a store 3 times a week that would be available to students passing by. And they were different types of things like cookies and candies and things along those lines. And of course, I would give a percentage of my profits back to my high school. So as a very active high schooler, meaning I was on the National Honor Society, I was a varsity athlete, and I was pretty much everything everywhere and was incredibly popular. Everyone knew me. So the good news is when I was about to launch this bread company, I already had like a following, if you will. So I took that to my advantage, and I positioned these products well, and I got a tremendous, tremendous launch and feedback. And people were buying them for their grandparents, for their parents, for their friends, for their family, for their teachers, for their mothers. I mean, it was really quite remarkable. And people started saying, you know, how are you handling this volume, including my own mother? And at one point I needed to make a decision because my mom said, you need a commercial kitchen. Like, this is getting to be much bigger than you ever anticipated, which is always the good news. But I never wanted it to be like a full-time gig. So I said, well, I'm going to continue to keep it small, Mom. I'd like to keep it in the kitchen, so to speak. And I'm not interested in making this a commercially viable enterprise. So that's just a choice that I made, and you will need to make yourself. Secondly, when I was in high school / college on my way, I was pursuing my career dream as a journalist, which I ended up graduating with a degree in journalism. But to support my lifestyle, I needed some side hustle. So I decided to use my talent as a photographer. So I decided to do a number of different photography shoots, whether it be bar mitzvahs or parties or profiles or candids, whatever it might be. I priced again according to what the market could bear. And people were very excited about this capability. And of course, I had to investment spend as well in various Nikon lenses and lighting, et cetera. And again, that sort of got a little out of control, and meaning it got bigger than I had hoped. And it was no longer a side hustle. And then I realized, no, I don't want to be a professional photographer as a full-time career. So again, I kept that manageable and reasonable as a side hustle, and that worked out fine. And then somewhere in my mid 20s to early 30s, I really got interested in investing. My mom, God bless her, as a graduation gift, had given me shares of Citicorp stock and said, this is your ticket to the future. Use it wisely and learn everything you can about the stock market, which I did. I also had the great good fortune to work for one of the world's leading wealth management firms, in fact, two of them, for 15 of the 30 years I was learning investing and about investment management, as well as about the stock market. So people were asking me, could you help me with my estate? Could you look at my will? Could you look at this, that, my portfolio, my spending plans? Could you help me create spending plans and earning plans? And could you help me get a raise at my job? And I helped a lot of people for a very long time. And I was very, very happy to be of service and to do that. But many people, particularly my friends on Wall Street, said, you really need to make this a company. So I'd had the good fortune to work for these two wealth management firms as an agent, as a brand strategist and publicist, and I learned an enormous amount. So I really, polished the apple, so to speak, and I was able to really give much more credible education, if you will, and advice to various friends and family. So last year on April 28th, I launched Literacy to Legacy Mentors, Reframing Your Financial Future. And it is a personal finance education and mentoring company. And I couldn't be more thrilled. That I had decided that I would leverage my expertise in this area to become a full-fledged company. You can choose to do that as well. But so that's another thing you need to consider. Where's that fine line? Do you really want to do this on the side, or do you really want to do this full time? And I own another company called Burns Communications, which is a brand, business, and communication strategy agency. I now celebrate 15 years this month. So I own two companies, and I'm happy to do that. But in the meantime, are there any other side hustles that I'm getting involved in that are requiring an enormous amount of my time? And the answer is no. So that's the good news for me anyway. I don't really want to pursue any more side hustles, but I want to teach you how to do it. So that's why we're here tonight. So again, identify the talent, determine if it's marketable, talk to your colleagues, friends, and family. Do they really believe in you? Do you believe in you? And are you able to take this on the road and monetize this talent? You have to have a sense of business, you have to have a sense of finance, and you have to be really humble and honest with yourself. Can you really do this? So if the answer is yes to all those questions and you're jazzed and you're good to go, then more power to you. I'm in your corner. Go for it. The other thing I would also recommend to anyone who is young and has some capital they've been putting away, whether it be in savings, investments, hopefully more likely, and they're making good money, is real estate. That's perhaps one of the most lucrative side hustles you could possibly get involved in. And I know that because I worked for a CFO for many years of my career. And he was very much a side hustle real estate guy. So I learned a lot from him. And about 24 years ago, we had the good fortune to purchase a second home property and decided at the time that we would maybe rent at the times when we're not there. So we learned everything we could, my husband and I, about what it would take to be a real estate investor. And I'm not interested in multiple properties. I'm just interested in this one. That's our focus. So we learned about Airbnb, and I learned how to become an Airbnb Superhost. What it basically entails is that you need 10 5-star or up to 5-star, I believe at this point, reviews of your home and their stay and the lodging and the value, et cetera, et cetera. So I was able to achieve that. And we now leverage that as a private property. Even though I've earned the Airbnb credential, I leverage that with my new prospects and they love it. And we rent our Stratton, Vermont property year round, actually. And it works out beautifully because I am the cleaning lady and I don't want to pay anybody to do that. So I make extra part of the nightly revenue. I make extra in that capacity, and most people do. So just sharing that little tidbit. And it's a great revenue stream and it helps immensely. So how great is that? We were fortunate in order to do that, of course. I might add. So, and then the last piece of information I'd like to share with you is if you are an investor such as ourselves and myself, self-directed, profitable, private, you have an opportunity to make money in the stock market in a couple of different ways. One is as a dividend investor, which means you are a shareholder and own a piece of a company, and they pay you regular dividends as a shareholder as part of their earnings and profits. So if you're interested in doing that, that is a really lucrative way to make money on the side. In terms of dividends, they're characterized in a number of different ways, but specifically, you want to have a dividend that is paying out equal to or higher than inflation, of course, because then you're really not making any money at all. So it's a little tricky to find dividends at 8.5%, which is what inflation is right now. But they're there and they're very available. And the most important criteria are A, are they paying them out over a period of many years? Are they paying them consistently, meaning they've never missed a dividend payment? And are they increasing the dividend amount each quarter or each month, depending on how they pay out, over that period of time? So there are 4 characteristics of dividend payers, and that is, are they a king, which means they've paid out dividends consistently over time for 50 years or more. And then there are dividend aristocrats, which is 25 years or more. And then there are champions, which is 15 years or more. And then there are contenders, which are 10 years or more. So my personal opinion is that I would like to be with those that are safer and have paid out dividends longer. So I prefer the kings and the aristocrats personally. I just want a better return on my investment and a more consistent one. So that's another way to make side hustle. And it's a lovely way to make a living, frankly, if you so choose to convert that to a full-time profession. But my point is that it requires, persistence. It requires knowledge and depth and expertise. It is not for the faint-hearted. If you're in the long game, you do not watch the stock market every day, and particularly of late, of what's going on. It doesn't affect you because you're in the long game. So keep that in mind. But if you're not a long game player and you're not a buy and hold, that's a different story. You may not make as much in dividends or capital gains because that's the way to make money. The most money is to buy and hold and keep them over time. 200, 300, 400%. If you keep them less than a year, you also have to pay bigger taxes. So that's considered a short-term gain, which is 20%. And if you hold them longer than a year, that is a long-term gain, and that's 15%. And again, it all depends on your married filing jointly, or if you're single or head of household, tax filing status, because that also determines how much you're paying in capital gains. So there are lots of criteria there as well. But in this particular instance, and what I'm sharing with you, take a look at the resources available to you to see if that's something that you might be interested in. One in particular at the forefront is suredividend.com. They will identify the companies in the S&P that are very good payers and consistent payers and increasing payers, and definitely take a closer look at that. And if you have any questions about starting a side hustle, I've started several and been very successful at all of them. So I'm more than happy to share with you my experience, strength, and hope in that arena. You can hire me on an hourly, on a monthly, or a tri-monthly basis. And you can start by having a complimentary consultation. That is by getting onto my website at www.literacytolegacymentors.net. Get started is the top right-hand button, and I will ask you a couple different questions, and then you can speak with me either by phone or by Zoom, as we are doing now. And I'm more than happy to sort of guide you along that route to side income hustle money and passive income. I also can be hired on a mentoring basis at one rate. And then if you want to get even deeper, I can work with you on a consultative basis. Because on a consulting basis, I actually help companies build new revenue streams and reposition their companies for more profitability. So I have experience in that context, and I'm more than happy to help you with that. So do either email me, Deborah, at literacytolegacymentors.net, Call me at 203-257-3163. That's 203-257-3163, or sign up for a complimentary consultation on my website, and I'm more than happy to speak with you. I wish you all the best in identifying your talents, your monetization revenue streams, and to help you become much more prosperous than you are today. Thank you so much for your time this evening, and I hope you join us at future financial freedom, education, and entrepreneur spotlight events. I host them bi-monthly, effective May 1st, and the first and third Wednesday of the month at 5:30 to 6. They are power half-hour presentations, as this is, as well as interviews with experts from the fields of trust and estate law, finance, insurance, and college financial aid. So I do look forward to seeing you at my future presentations. I would love to help you in any way I possibly can. So do reach out in person. And thank you so much for being here this evening, and have a terrific evening and rest of your week. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.